Hello everyone and welcome back to another story analysis. I'm Cliff and I'm here to talk to you all about Valkenheim in winter. So if you haven't been following along, we're following the night story mode so far, and last time we talked about the Blackstone Legion and how the Warden is now starting to question everything that's been going on with the Blackstone Legion, and Apollyon shows up to introduce us to a little bit of her ideology in terms of what makes a warrior and what makes a knight, and things are getting a little dark now. It's not a lot of fun and games anymore. So now it looks like what's going to happen is the Knights are actually going to take the fight to the Vikings. They're tired of the Vikings invading the Ashfell land, so they're going right into Valkenheim to take on the Vikings. It's going to be a lot of fun, so let's dive right into it. Let's hear the story.
The time came to show the Vikings who they really were. We would strike deep into the heart of their lands. But first, we needed to cross the mountain pass, and Holden Cross would lead the charge.
Alright, so in this chapter we're going to be playing as Holden Cross, the Lawbringer, which is going to be really cool. So the first thing that I want to say before we really get started into it is, someone asked me, did the Knights actually fight the Vikings? And yes, they would have. During the Viking era, when Vikings were attacking the European lands, Knights and Vikings probably did clash. But was there ever a crusade against Vikings? No, not really. I mean, technically, if you want to count the Teutonic and Baltic crusades, that was when the crusades were taken into the pagan lands in the Baltics and in the lands that the Vikings probably would have attacked as well. And there might have been some Scandinavian and maybe some Nordic peoples that lived around that area, but there was no official crusade against Vikings or their peoples. There was the Baltic Crusades, and so I guess this will be our first crusade into Viking territory.
But we went anyway. I am Holden Cross. As commander of the Blackstone Vanguard, it fell to me to lead the way.
Okay, so going on into Valkenheim. Look at this winter. It begs the question, why do you live here, Vikings? This doesn't seem like a smart place to live. It just doesn't. I mean, there seems to be a lot of problems here, like the snow and the lack of any real area to grow crops. I mean, supposedly this is in winter, but we hear that it's winter here all the time. Vikings didn't just live in snowy Arctic lands.
So many of my people fear the decorations of our savage foes. But I have never feared the demons of my enemies. I am their demon.
Ooh, Apollyon getting scary.
They know we're here. Keep moving.
Clear them out, guys. Why do you need me to help you? Okay, fine. Gotta do all the fighting myself. My goodness. Ooh, there's another one.
The Vikings are ancient as we are. The difference is, they vanished for centuries. We never left. But any who doubt their claim to these lands need only look at the ruins their ancestors built for them.
I'm not entirely sure what that's in reference to. Now, according to the For Honor lore, I suppose you could argue that the Vikings were the original owners of this land, and the Knights and the Samurai eventually moved into it. But in reality, no. Well, okay, I guess it could be a reference to the fact that before the Knights really settled themselves as Christian territories, Europe was mostly made up of pagan territories that the Romans eventually settled over. And the Romans started out a little paganistic, you know, kind of settling for whatever religion they conquered. They kind of just melded a bunch of religions together to make everyone happy. And then Christianity became the chief religion. And then the Knights kind of adopted that religion. So you could argue that, I guess, paganism kind of existed before the Christian Knights. So maybe that's it. It's a stretch, but I'll take it, sure. Anything to tie into history, guys. I love me some history. Okay. Ooh, another one.
Wherever we go, the peaceful life that is called civilization scatters. It is a social agreement that is so easily dissolved. Fragile.
You know, that normally I would say, come on, Apollyon, that's a little pessimistic, but after everything that's happened recently, I'm starting to see what you was talking about. As dark as that is, okay, I don't actually believe that. I don't really believe that civilization is so easily dissolved. Civilization just changes. Civilization changes hands, it changes styles, it changes governances. It isn't just something that just falls apart willy-nilly. I think that's a little too pessimistic to be believable.
Have no fear!
Ah, yes. Die. Warden, you blocked the view of that. Thanks a lot. Never mind. You're not even listening, are you? Pfft. Moving on.
The entrance to Valkenheim.
Thanks for letting us know.
Clear that chunk out of the way.
I guess we're not getting through there. Hey, a side entrance. What's up, big guy? Get out of here with that.
Out of my way.
Wait, what? Catapults?
Savages.
Okay, the Vikings probably didn't use catapults. They probably didn't have really big siege engines like that. And even if they did, those catapults are too big even for historical standards. Most catapults were not that huge. So, big X to doubt here.
The Vikings have filled their mountains and valleys with horns and drums and signal fires. We were never going to slip into Valkenheim unnoticed. That is why I chose to enter through the front door.
Well, Apollyon, you never were a subtle one. Okay, so back to the catapult thing. Catapults were much smaller than this, and they fired smaller stones, probably about maybe a little smaller than a bowling ball. And they were meant to do damage to individual persons. They wouldn't fire these massive flaming boulders like that. It just, they couldn't be that big, and they couldn't lift that easily. Even knights didn't have catapults this big. Usually, if you wanted to fire something that big, you'd use something like a trebuchet. These catapults were not historically accurate, and even if they did exist, the Vikings wouldn't have ones this big. That's just, I don't believe that. Sorry.
The cataclysm was not one event. It was many. Lands rose and fell. The sky rained fire, ash, and worse things. The seas rose and then retreated. It is a miracle that any of us are still here.
If you want to learn more about catapults, I will link a Shadiversity video in the description that will talk to you all about catapults. It's a very great video. It goes into far more detail than I will, because I'm here to talk about a great many more things than just that. And he does a great job discussing why catapults are not what we think they are. He talks a great deal about trebuchets and about the mechanics of catapults. It's very interesting stuff, guys. I highly recommend it. In fact, I just recommend his channel. Shad, you are an excellent YouTuber. I really love watching your stuff, if you ever see this, which you probably won't. All right, took care of that entirely inaccurate catapult. You know what I will give this credit for? Even though it's not historically accurate to where the Vikings likely lived, this is beautiful. This is a very nice looking map. It looks really nice. I wish we had this map in like a game mode. Okay. Okay. Wait for it. You stay there. You stay there. No. That's great. I'm so mean. I'm so mean.
I'll give this to the Vikings. They're big.
Ooh, big boy. Come on. Come on. Hit me with that axe. Come on. Nope. Come on. Gotta do better than that. Whoa. Ah. Ooh. right, big guy. All right, big guy. You know, I'll leave you there. You can just wait there, dude. Aw, you wanted to come too. Get out of my sight. It's nice and easy when you have something to throw them in. Everyone's going, you ledger! You stinking ledger! It's all this ledging! Yeah, get over yourself. Ledging's there for a reason. I know someone's about to dislike my video just because I said that. How can you say that? I hate ledging. It's got its place. Wait, what? Did I legit do a full... Oh, come on. Sorry, guys. I haven't played this in so long. Which way do I go, Chief? I guess this way? Okay. Okay, moving along, moving along. Ooh, I'ma get you. Bye. Gosh, it's so easy when you got a place to send them. Saves me a lot of trouble.
We were prepared for this place.
Wow. Give me a minute, guys.
I am Apollyon. I was a warden once. Now, I have become something greater. I am the 8th warlord of the Blackstone Legion. The only one strong enough to survive. And through me, this land will see a new age.
Thank you, Apollyon. You gave me some time to process this. Guys, that is not what a Viking fortress would probably look like. And if a Viking fortress ever did look like that, my big question would be, if you have that kind of economic and industrial capability, why are you not steamrolling over the knights right now? You supposedly have fewer resources and lesser technology, but you can build something like that. Wow. Just steamroll over Ashfeld, guys. Okay, just do it. Come on. Oh my gosh.
The Vikings have raided every year for as long as I can remember. They sack, loot, burn. My village was destroyed by them. Mine and hundreds of others. Now, we would turn the tables.
I want you to remember that line, guys. I want you to remember that because it's going to come up later. Okay. So, I shouldn't be too mean. Okay, this fortress is unrealistic for a lot of reasons. It's built like a castle fortress that a knight would build. It's just not as realistic.
A bridge that isn't full.
This drawbridge thing, the way these forts and parapets are built, it's built like a knight kingdom castle. It's not built like a Viking fortification.
Our technology is what separates us from the Vikings.
No kidding.
And with these, we would make the so-called impassable defense of the gates of Valkenheim meaningless.
I guess you could argue that in this world's context, they learned our technology, they learned knight technology and applied it, which would make sense here. But from a historical perspective, no. I'll show you a picture of what a Viking fortification most likely looked like. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on and, oh boy. I was so busy talking about the fortification, I didn't even talk about this. Oh my, okay, take a look at this, guys. Watch this magic.
You serious?
If any of you were wondering, hey, Cliff, did that exist? Take a wild guess. Take a wild guess. No, this did not exist. These did not exist. Creation of pure fiction. It's cool. It's very cool, but did not exist. And while we're talking about that, look at these catapults we brought. When did we bring these in? How did we get these in? How did we bring these over the rocky terrain? There's so much I don't understand. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. I love this level. It's a cool level. But when you really stop to think about the logistics of this, the realism of it, the historical accuracy, they really took some liberties. I'm glad they did. This is all really cool. This is all really nice to look at. But there's no way this stuff actually existed. So maybe you're asking, so Cliff, what would a Viking or knight group do if they came across something like this, where there was a giant ditch between castle and the people on the other side? Well, odds are pretty good you wouldn't build a castle in a location like this, because well, you're right above a river, and erosion would eventually cause some problems for the infrastructure and build of the castle. So that would be a problem for you. Now, there were castles built on tall ledges or tall mountains, and in those cases it would just be much harder to siege. You just have to find new ways to get in, like maybe go around the waterfall, use boats to go around and sneak in from another way. It's not like this is the only way to get in, right?
We need to find the bridge controls.
I know that I sound like I'm being really mean to this level. I don't want to be. I like this level. It's actually a lot of fun getting to play as Holden. And even though it's not realistic, some of this is really cool. It'd be very neat to see what would happen if the Viking peoples became more technologically advanced and did borrow ideas from knight technology and knight ingenuity. This stuff is cool. It looks very cool, but it's just not realistic. It's not historically accurate, is what I'm trying to say. We'll see some more historically accurate Viking stuff in a little bit. Trust me, we're not done. All right, well, let's lower this bridge and move on with the level. Oh no! Get out of here! Tired of dealing with you warlords. Alright, we're done. Let me lower this thing. And it's dropped. And lo, I saw an army of darkness, led by a demon. That looks really cool, though. Very baller.
We couldn't leave a force behind to guard the prisoners.
Ooh, execution en masse. That was a bad swing, Holden. Try again. It's all funny. Death is funny.
Oh.
It's actually Holden, man.
Master, this beast killed at least 40 soldiers, including Davis.
Not Davis.
In the arms of the angel, fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room, and the endlessness that you fear.
Do you know how to tell a predator from prey?
One has sharp teeth. I don't know.
You can't, of course, unless you see them in war.
Actually, I thought it was if you see them eating the other. I make jokes, but that's an interesting philosophy.
"40. Well done.
Well, thanks, ma'am. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I had thought that her laws of selection only applied to us.
I wonder why you assumed that, Holden. Okay, I think that does it for this level. Okay, lots of fun here. And guys, I know that I've laughed a lot at this level and laughed at some of the inconsistencies, but most of that's just from a historical perspective. Viking fortresses probably didn't look like that. That looked more like a medieval knight castle made out of wood than it did a Viking fortress. Some of the siege weapons that were used were unrealistic. Vikings wouldn't have had catapults like that. And even if they did have catapults like that, they wouldn't be that size because even the knights didn't have catapults that size. They would have used trebuchets to launch rocks that big. Those launchable bridges, I've never seen that in any medieval historical documentation. If you guys have seen it, please send me pictures, send me some evidence of that, because I've never seen it. And we also get to see more of Apollyon's ideology being brought out here, you know, letting that Viking live just because he killed so many people. It's showing that it's not so much about making the knight supreme, and that's one thing that I thought was really interesting about this. She says when she sees the catapult, I told I'd bring this up later, she says that the Vikings burned, pillaged, stole, destroyed everything that they came across, and they even destroyed her own village, and now she'd do the same to them. And I'm like, ooh, it's revenge, it's a story of revenge. Apollyon trying to get a revenge on the Vikings. But then we see that that's not really what she's doing, which is interesting. What she actually wants to do is interesting. If you've never played the campaign, get ready, it's really interesting. But I thought that it was a revenge story at first. I thought, oh, it's just about her getting revenge on the Vikings and her wanting to make the strongest knights possible. And I think that's what Holden was assuming. Apollyon wants revenge on the Vikings for all the things they did, and so she is trying to weed out the weak knights to create a strong knight faction to stand against them. And now he's learning that's not what she's really after. But anyway, guys, that's all I got for Valkenheim in Winter. Fun level, very entertaining level. Next up is Sabotage. Sabotage, and I think in that one we play as a peacekeeper named Mercy. That's going to be fun, guys. I'm having a lot of fun doing this, guys. I really, really am. I hope you guys are too. Anyway, please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about it, and I will see you in the next For Honor analysis. Take care, guys.